You think, Eddie? All right. So Eddie says just get on with it, Deb, because it's just time to get on with it. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I know dinner's going to come very soon, okay? We have to do this video and then we'll put the chickens away and it's time for dinner, okay? Yeah? All right. So I've been buying little bits and bobs and parts and pieces of the sailboat, trying to get all of it, put together kind of in a Johnny Cash style of like one piece at a time. And it's been a long journey, but I'm getting there. It's kind of like, trying to accumulate the 10,000 pieces that a person needs to build their house. So it's taken me for a while. Recently I bought some of this. It's a pond foam. So if you think about that, like window insulation spray foam in a can, this is like that. It's similar, except it's intended for ponds. And the difference is, I know, Eddie, is that it is called closed cell foam. And closed cell foam is the only foam that you should use on a boat. And of course I'm working on the sailboat. And I'm gonna, our sailboat, Melittin's Miracle, which belongs to the Flippin Lyme Foundation, our nonprofit. Anyway, so the intention is I'm going to put up foam panels, and then I'm going to do spray foam around the edges, and that will do two things for us. It will adhere it to the fiberglass, and it will create an air-free barrier where it cannot absorb any moisture, and it won't let moisture pass through. So if we get warm, wet air that touches the cold outside of the hole, it will condense and cause droplets that start to drip. And that ruins woodwork and causes all sorts of problems inside. And so we do want closed cell foam. So I found this stuff. It's a black foam made by Savio Excellence. And you'll notice on the bottom here that it talks about the size. Let me find this. I'm not seeing it right at the minute. Hold on. Of course, it's right on the front, but it's in white letters, and it says right here that net weight of 16 ounces. Well, being a scientific kind of girl, I was like, I'm not so sure about that. It's really skinny. And if I go and measure it, we're going to look at the width of the can here. Yeah, it's 65.5 millimeters. So maybe 66 millimeters. And I don't know if these will go long enough for the can. Probably not. Let's see. So we're almost there at our maximum. A little bit short, as you can see, at 153 millimeters, which realistically comes out to about 155 at the end of the day, or about 6 1/8 inches. And we're a little bit more than 2.5 inches, almost 2.5, about 2.5 inches wide. So why am I looking at these numbers? Well, they tell me that this is a very high pressure can. Okay, but that still doesn't tell me how much liquid's in here, how much volume is in here. But there's two ways you can measure that. Now, you can do volume by weight. And actually, this says that. It says net volume by weight. See the WT there? Yep. There's your sign. Okay, so let's put it on the scale and see what happens. All right, just to measure things and show you all that this is pretty up and up. Here's a level out of my pocket, out of my tool bag. So we're pretty much level going this direction, and we're pretty much level going this direction. So that tells us the countertop's relatively flat. So we're going to turn on the scale. Yep, same thing here. And let's zero that guy out. So we're going to come over here and go to ounces. Okay, so how are we going to measure things? All right, here's one of my absolute favorites, Montucky beer. 16-ounce can. Give lots of time to settle, think about things. 17.3. All right, here's a brand new can, never used, Rust-Oleum cold galvanizing compound. This is very dense, you can feel it. 20-ounce can. Yes, it has the lid on it. Comes in 24.8. Now I have a can of WD-40. It says that this is a 12-ounce can, and I've used some of this, and it still comes in at 14.6. So just for shits and giggles, let's look at something smaller, like a yogurt container, right? 6 ounces. It's hard to measure a smaller weight, by the way, so we're close to 6.3. So let's put a second one on there. That should get you close to 12. 12.6. We're pretty close. So I purchased 3 cans of this foam that supposedly weighs 16 ounces. Let's put this on the scale. Wonk, wonk, wonk. 14.9. And by the way, I'm writing this on all the cans. WD-40, 14.6, beer, 14.3, and the paint is 14.8. This, 14.9. Let's check this other can. $15.1. Okay, all right, we got those two. Let's measure the third can. 15 ounces. Okay, well, we're already seeing some variance between 14.9 and 15.1. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot to you, but in the manufacturing world, this is probably out of specific specs. Now, what I did not see, even without the straw and the caps, what I did not see, like I saw in the WD-40 and the beer and the Rust-Oleum paints, all three showed me in those products what I believe more of an honest weight would be. And in fact, it's above the value of the can, which tells me that the weight of the packaging is accounted for and there might be some additional product. In the foam, we're not seeing that at all. We're seeing at least 1 ounce of product that's short, probably a lot more. So when I looked at this can and the dimensions, I was like, it just doesn't seem like it adds up. I mean, if you put the beer can and it side by side, they look just pretty close to the same dimensionally, you know. Not big difference. Yep, 63 and 65. So very similar, almost identical sizes here. You know, if I make this level right into there, it has to just come off of that bubble. There we go, that's level. You can see pretty close to the same size. So now let's put the beer and the yogurt back in the refrigerator and take another look at these 3 cans. Because what the sales rep told me is, Deb, these things are under very high pressure and they're not measured off of weight. Okay, well, then the only other option could be based off of volume, right? Which is the amount. If you put 4 cups of volume into your belly, your body's going to be 4 cups bigger, assuming that you stop exhaling and going potty, okay? And sweating. But this is volume. So one of the ways that you want to measure is your lighter going to last longer or not is to put the container in water and see how high it floats. And so you could take a container and put it in water and see when it's new. You could mark on the container where the line is in the water. And in fact, here's a bottle that I marked showing it at one point, okay? And then you could use it for a while and watch that go down, and what you'll end up with is eventually it'll bob and you'll be right in here and it'll be essentially empty because you're out of air pressure or the atmospheric pressures are equalized. So if you want to measure volume in a fluid like a gas, now gases can be compressed into a liquid, okay? And so this product very likely has some of those implications. So we know it's not got 15 or 16 ounces by weight, which it tells us here. But let's see what kind of volume it might have. All right, so what I'm going to do is we have a standard mason jar. You can see here it's a ball canning jar, wide mouth. And the neat thing about these is they have marks on the side of them that tells you exactly what your volume is. Now, you're really only supposed to fill them up to this line right here when you're canning. So to come up higher in the neck is not a standard usage for these jars because you don't want to can without an airspace. But what I'm trying to do here is to fill this to the very tippy top, and I think I am there. I don't know that I can get another drop in. And what I have down below here is a screen, and you can see the marks on the side here showing you how many cups. And what we're going to find out is that there is 1 2/3 cups of fluid in this and not 16 ounces. This is a measurement that I did earlier that shows my finding at 1 2/3 cups of displacement. But we're going to test it again right here on camera, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is, because the bottom of these are very concaved, I'm thinking if I go to put that in, it's going to leave it, trap an air bubble, and we're going to show that it has more volume than it shouldn't. So I'm going to put it in the lid first, and these are brand new. They have not been used at all. You can see there's not been any foam that has been evacuated from these, none at all. So I'm going to put them in in first, the top down, to eliminate as much air as possible. There'll be little tiny bits that'll get caught in there, but it's not going to be significant. And I'm going to put it in at about a 40-degree angle to help eliminate some of this. And I'm not going to touch the camera while I'm doing this. And then at the end, we'll zoom in and see what we have there as how much comes and trickles over the edge. And I think you're going to be really surprised at how short it is. Because remember, it should be 16 ounces, which is 2 cups right here. So this is where we should be, or higher. Okay, So we're going to put this in. I'm just going to go really slow, not to make waves. Alright, should have most of the air out of that. I'm just going to keep letting this drop in. I'm not pushing, just very lightly, 2 fingers, starting to bob a bit, and let it go. And we have, wow, about 2 1/3 cups. It's not quite what it should be, okay? And here we can come down so you can get in line with it more, and it's just not there. Okay. All right, well, let's pull this one out. So this one will dry off, and it is showing us yeah, it's below 2 1/3, so I'm going to say, or 1 1/3. So this is going to be 1 2/3 cups of displacement, which is what I got on that other one. All right, now I'm going to fill that back up. We'll do the second one. All right, so here's the first one they did at 2 1/3 cups. And I'm going to set that on this side over here. This is the first one that I did. So I'll do the second one. But first, I did dry off the outside of the jar, and I dried off the screen. And now we're going to refill the jar all the way full. And yes, we're recycling water, of course. All right, let's get this all the way full to the tippy top. I think we're there. Yep, okay. So this one has not been measured, has no measurements. Go upside down. And yeah, there's no water in the bottom. This one said 15 ounces. 15.1 ounces. Alright. And then let's come down here and have a peek. This one might have performed a little bit better. Actually, I think it did perform just slightly better. Come down where we're even. I lowered the tripod a skosh. But we're still not at above 16 where we should be. Well, actually, we're right at just above the 2 1/3, or the 1 2/3 cups. Again, we're just a little bit above it, which is actually kind of what we expected with the 15.1, because it was slightly above the other one, which was, remember, this one is 14.9. Okay. Okay, so I did this one as 1 2/3 plus cups, because it's just slightly bigger. All right, third can. Now this is the one I did previously that I measured at 1 2/3, and this is what I reported to the folks that I purchased this from. So they were open to this, so I went ahead and decided to make a video. But this is the one I primarily measured in the first. Okay, let's see where that one comes up. Now, I remember the screen and the big jar and the outside gets dried, the screen gets dried, and the measuring cups gets dried in between each one. So we'll come down and have a peek here. And we're definitely not 16 ounces. Okay, we are once again right at, yep, that is below 2/3 of a cup. Not 16 ounces. Wow. So, here's the thing, is if they're essentially like 25% less product in here than what there should be compared to like what these manufacturers are doing. So I guess there you go, you see my results. So we were at 1 2/3 cups, a little bit plus. This one was a little bit minus, and this was a little bit minus. Not equitable to these products. I did not measure their displacement on those two, but if you just base it on the outside of the can, the dimensions, this doesn't quite stack up. And it does say by weight, so it has that WT right there, which says by weight.